It's 7 o'clock, so I'll call us to order. Before we get started, I just want to clarify the agenda because there's been about 14,000 changes this evening. So I'm just going to read old business through new business. So in old business, we have Bill 1645, Bill 1648. And new business, we have Bill 1658, Bill 1659. Bill 1660 will now be Resolution 1617, and Bill 1661 will now be Bill 1660. Are there any questions? Seeing none, if there are any proxies, please tell us who you are and who you are proxying for by using the microphones in front of you.
My name is Joe Vandermus. I'm proxying for Brian Carter. That's all I need to do.
That's good.
Yes, I'm Andrew Santos, proxying for Sam Friedland.
Are there any other proxies?
Mackenzie McDonald, proxying for Corey Martin.
No other proxies. Secretary Romery will now call roll.
Senator Lennon. Senator Murphy.
Here.
Senator Tonner.
Here.
Senator Daly.
Present.
Senator Lopez.
Here.
Senator Pierce.
Here.
Senator Putt.
Here.
Senator Stanczykiewicz.
Here.
Senator Williams.
Here.
Senator Bavard.
Here.
Senator Shelf.
Present.
Senator Paz. Senator Beatty.
Here.
Senator Turek.
Here.
Senator Eschker.
Here.
Senator Golmer.
Here.
Senator McAnulty.
Here.
Senator Baker.
Here.
Senator Dontum. Senator Marshall.
Here.
Senator Diallo. Senator Wagley.
Present.
Senator Chow.
Here.
Senator Peskin. Senator Reyes.
Here.
Senator Carduss. Senator Miller.
What's up?
Senator Shaw.
He's here.
Here, but Carduce is here as well.
Sorry. Senator Fernando.
Here.
Senator Oberway.
I believe we have quorum. It's close, but all right. We will now move into introduction of visitors. If you are a visitor, please use the microphone in front of you. Tell us who you are, why you are here, starting with Ryan in the back.
I'm Ryan Keller. I'm a Director of Communications.
I'm Hannah Calvert. I'm the Executive Director for Governmental Relations. I'm Nora Sego, and I am the Chair of SFAB.
I'm Emily O'Hannison, and I am representing the College of Health and Human Sciences for SFAB.
I'm Luke McGregor, and I'm representing the College of Liberal Arts for SFAB.
I'm Chelsea Fulham. I'm representing the College of Science for SFAB.
I'm Chantel Wilson. I'm representing Purdue Polytechnic for SFAB.
And I'm Kimberly Frenberg, and I'm here representing SFAB for College of Education.
I'm Doug Smith, SFAB advisor.
Okay. We will move into the voluntary Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the Pledge of Purpose. If you would like to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please stand at this time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Senators, remain standing for the Pledge of Purpose. Our purpose: and above all, we will now move into the approval of minutes. Are there any changes that need to be made to last meeting's minutes? Seeing none, the minutes pass as written. We will now move into our special programming of the evening. We are lucky to have two of our trustees joining us tonight. Trustees Lehman and DeKreiger will come and answer some questions that you guys may have, and they may have some questions for us as well. So if you would like to join me in welcoming our trustees.
Well, it's a real pleasure. My name's Malcolm DeKreiger. When we showed up here tonight, Jacob said, "Well, we need you to talk." So it's a little bit of a uninformed or unprepared, but I had a couple of things I wanted to visit with you about. I'm actually the newbie of the trustees. I am about 8 months now into my first term. Lots of students probably have no idea where trustees come from. Have no idea what process there is. Actually, I am a trustee that is representative of the alumni. So in our board of trustees, there are 9 adults and there's 1 student. I believe you said that Cameron was here in the last couple of weeks to visit with you, and Cameron is our student trustee. Of those 9 adults, 6 of them are appointed by the governor, and I believe, Gary, you were appointed by the governor at some point. The other 3 trustees are voted on and proposed to the governor by the alumni. Of those trustees, those 3, 1 by law has to be agriculture, and that's me. I am involved in agriculture. I graduated a few years ago from the School of Agriculture. I got my master's degree in animal sciences, and I was on staff as well. But I was elected by the alumni as the ag trustee, and then my name is approved by the governor as well. So a couple of things about the trustees that and the work that we do. Really, Gary will get into the work, but you know, I came to this new job not knowing what to expect. For my regular work, I work in agriculture north of here in a little town called DeMott. If you go up I-65, there's a bunch of dairy farms. It's called Fair Oaks Farms. Anybody ever heard of it? Excellent. So my business is Belster Milling Company, and we feed all of those animals. And we also own the pigs. Our friends and partners own the dairy farms, but so my business is truly deeply in agriculture. And so being very busy with my business is kind of like, I wonder what I'm going to end up doing as a trustee, and who are the people I'm going to be working with, because there are some fairly significant people who've had great careers. You know, one that comes to mind, if you're at all in agriculture, and I think we got a couple ag people back here, if you drive up and down the countryside, you'll see out in the cornfields signs that say Beck Seeds. It's pretty common. You see them around. So one of our people is Sonny Beck, the owner of Beck Seeds. It's the largest genetics seed company owned by a family in the United States. That's a pretty big deal. And you think, okay, well, here's a pretty uppity individual. Not at all. Just a really wonderfully humble individual. Another individual that I just have a lot of respect for is a guy named Don Thompson. And Don Thompson, up until 2 years ago, was the CEO of McDonald's. Probably another pretty uppity kind of an individual, right? You just kind of think, man, who am I to hang around with these people? I had a professor in graduate school who once told me it's better to be a dog among the kings than a king among the dogs. And so if you think about that one a little bit, I'm pretty proud to be a dog among the kings. And I've learned a lot, and I appreciate the types of people. Gary is one that, if I keep bragging about him, I'll embarrass him. But there are just really wonderful people that really care about you. And I think that that's an important thing that just really hit me as I joined this group, is how much they care about the students. It is about what's best to make this university give you the most. And there's a lot of hard decisions, but it is about you. And it may be one of the last times in your life, once you get out in the world, where it is about you here. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you appreciate what they bring to the table. Gary, that's fine. Thank you. Gary Lehman is from Lafayette, and I'll give it over to Mike.
I don't know if I really need this or not. Usually I don't. Can you hear me? Oh, well, without it? Oh, it's being recorded. That's a good reason for me not to do this, then. That's all right. As Malcolm said, thank you, Malcolm. My name is Gary Lehman. I was born and raised here in West Lafayette, graduate of West Lafayette High School. So you could say I'm a local person. I lived here for 25 years, and then we were gone for 25 years, and we came back about 13 years ago. So I've always stayed close to the university and always consider West Lafayette my home, although we have not lived here our entire life. As Malcolm said, I've been on the board for a while. I'm going on my 7th year on the board. Prior to that, the governor had put me on the Commission of Higher Education, which is the commission that oversees all of the 7 state universities in Indiana. So that was a great experience. I got to really understand how the system works together, the cooperations that's necessary, the strengths and weaknesses of all the state institutions, going through some very challenging times, as you can imagine, in higher education. And then about 7 years ago, Governor Daniels called and said, I'm going to fire you from the Commission of Higher Education. I said, gee, I missed one meeting. What does that mean? What's the reason behind that? He said, well, I'd like to see if you would accept a role as a trustee at Purdue University. And of course, being my heart was always with Purdue University, I said, well, absolutely, that's where my love is. And I started thinking as I was talking, and I said, wait a minute. As a commissioner of higher education, I got paid $50 per meeting and also gas allowance to drive to Indianapolis. Yes. I said, we don't pay our trustees any money, not even per diem, and you won't have to pay any gas money. Is that why you're making me a trustee? He says, you figured it out, didn't you? So anyway, but it's been a great honor. On the trustees, what do we do? It's interesting because if you look at the way universities are put together, especially state universities, we have a faculty. I know that comes as a surprise to you. We have a faculty, and the faculty has some very, distinct responsibilities in running the university, without a doubt. I mean, legally and all the shared governance and whatever. It's very specific. And we have students, and we have organizations like the Senate, and the students have a say in the university. I mean, they're the ones that are bringing the tuition dollars in, so obviously they have some great responsibilities and some feelings that they have a say in how the university should be run. We also have this group of the state legislators down in Indianapolis that provide about 18% of our funding every year. They've built most of these buildings over the years through state funding and whatever. They're elected. We got a governor, we got a Senate, we got a House and whatever. And they feel, being a state institution, they really run the university because of the funding and all the responsibilities that they have. And then you've got the president of the university. And, I think Mitch probably kind of feels like he's got a say in how the university is being run. And then you've got this pesky board of trustees that legally have the responsibility for hiring and firing the president and doing those kind of things. So unlike businesses that Malcolm and I are in and other businesses that you might be familiar with in the School of Management, where you have a board of directors and a CEO and shareholders, that's it. We got about 5 organizations, 5 entities that all feel that they have a major say in how a university should be run. So it's really a different process and a different structure than most of us are used to in businesses outside of a university. And with that comes a lot of challenges, as you can imagine. We don't always agree between how the Board of Trustees and the faculty and the state legislators and maybe sometimes the students every once in a while and our president every once in a while may have different opinions of how it should be run. But it takes a tremendous amount of cooperation. It takes a lot of listening. It takes a lot of effort to really understand where everybody else is coming from and what's important. So we spend a lot of our time, as Malcolm said, listening and learning, trying to understand the details of the specific issues that might be necessary. But the most important thing the Board of Trustees can do, other than hire a good president, is to look out well beyond the immediate situation. Because, we're going on 150 years of this university. It's very, very positive, a lot of positive things. We want to make sure that in another 100 years, Purdue University is here, it's very, very strong, and that we didn't mess it up in the time that we were there. And so that's what we always got to be looking at. It's very tempting to do something that's just for the immediate situation, build a new building or tear a building down or hire a different dean or put a rule in here or put a law or whatever it might be. But you got to think out, what are the ramifications of doing that in 50 years from now? And that's a great responsibility that we have. We have a structure that's set up, as Malcolm said, 10 trustees. we have a number of committees underneath the trustees, and each of us serve on one or two different committees. I might not name them all, but the ones that you'd be most familiar with. Academic Affairs, obviously that's extremely important. Joanne Briette, also an ag business person, is involved or heads up the Academic Affairs Committee, and her responsibility is really the liaisons between the faculty and the Board of Trustees. I'm chairman of the Physical Facilities Committee, and Malcolm serves on that, and our responsibility is to oversee the physical buildings and all of the resources that we have and the facilities and make approvals for buildings and construction and those types of things we have. We also have, of course, an audit committee, a finance committee. We have a compensation committee. What else am I thinking of? I think that's about most of the committees that we have. Then we have some small subcommittees underneath that. So we all serve on one or two of those committees, and the committees do a lot of the legwork. And then when we get into a stated meeting, we'll have a quick committee report, and then we'll vote on the necessary items that require state statutes and anything that has to come up. Hot topics right now, as you can imagine, higher education throughout the country is really going through some significant changes. When you look at it, if you had this as a lecture room, and I'm sure it is during the day, and you got a professor up here that is lecturing, maybe they're using an overhead, or maybe they even got a projector at this day and age. But my my parents graduated here in 1944 and 45, and the delivery model is basically the same. Now, you may have a laptop that you take your notes on, or the professor may, stream his or her notes onto your laptop. But basically, sitting in a classroom, spending an hour, 90 minutes, whatever it might be, 60 minutes, 55 minutes, going to a lab, is the same delivery model as it was in 1944. Tell me, any place else in this society that the delivery model is exactly the same it was in 1940. Well, as a result of the world changing, but the delivery model in higher education staying the same, it has caused some real challenges. You see now universities that have not kept up with certain requirements and certain financial needs, such as our friends up in St. Joseph, under a tremendous amount of difficulty. And that's going to continue. Obviously, the big universities, I think, are going to be very strong, and the ones that have huge endowments and can finance themselves off the endowments are going to be fine. But a lot of the smaller liberal arts schools, now with online education becoming more and more prevalent, a lot of dynamics going on, but the business models have been the same, are going to find themselves under a tremendous amount of stress, and that is a big concern. We have a tremendous dependence upon international students, as you can imagine. I'm sure there's international students from all over the country, even in this Senate. When you look at the revenues that they're paying and the tuitions they're paying, they're very high. They don't get discounted. The state doesn't give them scholarships in order to come to Purdue if you live in India or live in China. Is that revenue chain going to continue in that source forever and ever? Or as these students get highly educated at Purdue University, are they going to go back and go into their institutions of higher education in their countries, become great professors and teachers, and be able to then teach their own people rather than come over to Purdue or come over to other universities? Major, major issue for all higher education that you got to consider. So those are just a few of the things that Malcolm and I will try to get solved in the next few weeks. Probably not, but those are the challenges that we talk about all the time. So that gives you a little bit of idea of what we do. If there's questions that you have about what the trustees do, or what issue that you might have that you think we need to take a look at, concerns that you have, we'd be very interested in that. Yes.
So I just have a question about and since you were on the commissioners board as well, you might have some insights into this. So why is it that for example, there are schools that specialize in certain domains, like Purdue is engineering, and then liberal arts is IU, and that sort of thing. So why has that remained very rigid, even though schools like Purdue have tried to expand liberal arts programs and everything like that? Why has that kind of funding been restricted?
Well, first of all, I'll say over the years we've seen curriculum and what we call mission creep occur. So what it was back in the 40s when my folks went here, and now what it is, significantly different. As you might know, Indiana University just started a school of, not a school of engineering, but some curriculum in engineering, which obviously is much in our turf as anything, and that was very controversial. It was one that both the president of IU and President Daniels both spoke about the pros and cons of doing it, but it did pass. The commission did approve on that. The reason that mission was well defined is really comes down to is, can this state be able to support an overlap of missions in all of our universities? I think at last count we had 23 colleges of educations in the state of Indiana. Is that really, we need 23? And when I served on the Commission of Higher Education, we had some proposals to add some more MBA curriculum. Last I checked, we had 24, 25 schools, not all state obviously, that offered MBAs in the state of Indiana. Did we need another one? Now the thirst for all of this comes from the universities. They want to expand their mission. But if you're the state and you have limited support of the state universities, and we can't keep Notre Dame or we can't keep Earlham or those universities from expanding their curriculum, that's fine. That's up to them. But if you're the state and you're supporting these universities, you got to ask, what is your mission, and stick to it, because we can't let everybody do everything, or then we'll dilute the resources that go in order to make us very, very good. However, look around. I mean, we now have a school of medicine, though it's IU, but it's on our campus. I think our music program, though we don't offer a degree in music, I think it's pretty spectacular of what we're able to do in our School of Music. I don't know if you know that, but we have our Elliott Hall of Music. Elliott Hall of Music, which was built by state funds, connected to Hovde Hall. Now, somebody should ask, why would Purdue had a beautiful, one time was the largest permanent seat structure auditorium in the country, 6,000 plus seats. How would Purdue have a Elliott Hall of Music? We don't have a School of Music. Well, the state didn't really want us to have that hall, but we had very, very smart administrators at that time. So they built that little walkway between Hovde Hall and Elliott, that little pathway that you walk through right now. If you can step over the students that are in there right now, you can get into it. And they said, it's an expansion to our administrative center. And they said, oh, okay, we'll fund an expansion to our administrative center. R.B. Stewart actually was the treasurer who did that many, many years ago, and we got a 6,000 square thing. But I think it makes sense. I'm very concerned about mission creep because of the financial situation and whether we can all have schools of medicine, schools of engineering, schools of science on every single state university. Then I think we would dilute our effort for the state residences.
So a few weeks ago, we had the mayor of West Lafayette come in and discuss with us the State Street project that's going through town. And he kind of prefaced it with the reasoning behind the State Street project is one being just because the roads aren't very good for traffic and things like that, but also because West Lafayette was named last year as the worst Big Ten college town. So I'm interested to hear, is there anything that the board is currently doing or could potentially do in the future that would kind of change that how West Lafayette is not the best college town in Big Ten?
When I was in school back in 1973, it was I had a guy from California that was always talking about how lousy West Lafayette was and nothing to do and the weather's bad and it's an ugly town. And finally, after a while, I said, William, you have come 1,200 miles, more than that. You're spending thousands of dollars to come to school in my hometown. So why are you being so critical of West Lafayette? When we say a college town, and that's actually one that we've had a lot of fun with Mayor Dennis about that and whether or not we want to be recognized as a college town. But the State Street really didn't have anything to do with us, our desire to become a more attractive college town in the rankings. We're very happy where they're at. Would we like to improve West Lafayette? Absolutely. Does West Lafayette need more of a downtown? I mean, right now we really don't have. If you say, what's downtown West Lafayette? Is it the levee? Is it the village or whatever from that standpoint? But the main driver behind State Street was to be able to have a complete development that would attract numbers of different developments that we don't necessarily have today in the area of innovation, our aviation push, and all those areas, and we felt that we needed to move the gateway of the university more on the west side, coming off of 231. Right now, what's the gateway to the university? Coming up State Street, coming through the village. You know, can you expand all that? No, you probably can't. You know, you're building some buildings, but you're getting higher. We have a lot of land out west. So all the things we want to do to build an actual living community where people could work, people could play, you know, people could live in one area. The only area we could have would be west. And if you look at a lot of the developments in university towns, if you want to call it, they've developed those areas in Ann Arbor and down south, North Carolina, a lot of them, and they have an area where professors and students will work, study, play, and they'll stay there after they graduate in order to continue that type of lifestyle. So that's really the motivation behind the State Street. Yes.
So first of all, I'd like to thank both of you trustees for coming to speak with us. It really means a lot. My name is Amit Shah, and I am a senator for the Polytechnic Institute. And I was one of the senators that recently co-authored Resolution 1616, which is Purdue Student Government Supports Implementing a Tobacco-Free Campus Policy, and that passed 23-2-1 in our Senate. And on Monday, President Mitch Daniels announced at University Senate that 2 high-traffic smoking areas, Zones 6 and 7, that's the one by Hicks and by the Loeb Fountain, would be removed or possibly relocated next fall. Does the Board of Trustees have a stance on this issue? Do they support President Mitch Daniels' efforts, and also do they support an increase in cessation programs?
President Daniels, from the time he was a governor, was very supportive of trying to work on cessation. So I can say without any question that he wants everybody to get there. A lot of times I think, and actually we'll be hearing a lot more about this even tomorrow in our executive session, but it's not as easy as snapping a finger or moving something to get something to go away. There are trade-offs, and I think that what I've learned from President Daniels here already this year is that he is a very meticulous thinker about how to get to a certain place, and it's pretty amazing how you'll get there, but you just won't always see the process. So I think we're going to get there. I can vouch that all the trustees are tobacco-free. I mean, I hang around with them quite a bit now, and we understand the difficulties, but I think it's just going to be a little bit of time. And if I remember President Daniels' comment, he says we aren't going to be smoke-free quite yet. It's just a matter of time.
Other very important meetings to be at tonight.
Yeah, I do have one I've got to get to over back at the Union. So thank you for hosting me.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service on this important body as well. I know there's other things you could be doing tonight, studying or having fun doing other things. Thank you for that.
Hope to see you again.
So we will now move into our second portion of special programming. Nora Sego, the SFAB chair, will come and talk to us about SFAB's allocation.
All right, hi everybody. Is that working? Okay, sweet. So I am Nora Sego. I am a senior in Cranert studying finance and management. I have served on the Student Fee Advisory Board for the last 3 years, 2 years as a representative for Cranert, and this past year as chair. So I think that in front of you guys, you each have the report that goes through how our allocations went. I'm going to briefly kind of run through that, and then we'll have time for questions at the end. So as you see on the first page, you can see that our board is made up of a chair, myself, and then we have 10 representatives. They represent each of the schools across campus, and then 2 advisors. On page 3 to 9, you'll find the funding guidelines and requirements. These were passed by Senate a few years ago and are updated every year. So you guys can look at that, and those are the rules that we follow as we go about allocating these funds. On page 10, you'll see how we came up with our proposed undergraduate allocated amount for the 2017-2018 school year. These estimates were courtesy of Doug Smith, our advisor. He is the Director of Financial Affairs and Student Life. So as you see, we are projecting about $1.2 million in funds that are going to be used next year. A summary of the applications. There were 25 applications this year, which is about average, a little bit higher than we've had the past 3 years. And we're giving out $1.2 million. There was a requested amount of $2.7 million. So we were unable to fund about $1.5 million. So we really had to use our guidelines and come up with some stipulations of our own to figure out how we were going to go about breaking down these allocations. You will see that 4 organizations were not funded. 2 of them did not fall within the application funding period. 1 of them was below the $15,000 minimum that we have, and one of the groups withdrew their application to get funding elsewhere. So you guys can look through the next few pages. Those go into our rationale and exactly how we came about making the final decisions that we did. And on the last page, you'll find that broken down with the final amount allocated for each organization. This year, we did not fund any swag, t-shirts, scholarships, or awards. So those are things we just kept across the board because there's just other things we thought were more important that were going to be needed to run these events. So that was something that was taken out of each line item for every organization. So I'll open the floor to questions now. Yes.
Could you speak a little bit more about Purdue Mindful Leadership and Wellness Initiative, who they are, what they do, and why you gave them the money that you did?
Yes, absolutely. So they are an organization on campus that has actually been receiving funding in the past from SOGA. So their initiative is kind of to, if I remember 100% correctly, and board, if you guys feel you want to add anything at the end, I'll open that up to you. But they're really focused on trying to bring about leadership and helping people to be at peace and kind of like there's a lot of stress around college campus, and they're aware of that. They're aware that as students we have a lot of that stress. We're running from place to place. We don't have a lot of time. And so they're trying to bring people together to understand how to be leaders in a kind of like relaxed and peaceful way, and trying to give them techniques and ways to bring about just like being able to be at peace and not overstressed by becoming a leader. And so that's kind of their mission, and those are the things that they're working towards. They have a couple different events that they're trying to do throughout the year. So they're trying to hold a conference each, I think they were going to every week, but the past it's been each semester to bring leaders together and do different workshops with them so that they can learn these techniques. In their presentation to us, they did a breathing technique thing that they did for 2 minutes, and we all felt pretty peaceful after, and it was kind of cool. But like I said, they're really focused on this, but last year they only received $21,000 of SOGA funding, which they told us in their presentation, and they were requesting $292,000, so a huge increase, and one of our stipulations or guidelines is feasibility. So we really want to see them have a year of growth under their belt before really taking this to a level that we think is maybe a little too much right off the bat. Yes.
So real quick, back to the Purdue Mindful Leadership and Wellness Initiative. None of us senators had ever heard of that before. Are you aware of how they advertise their presence on campus?
I am not. I had not heard of the initiative either, but they did talk about thousands of students that had actually gone through their seminars already. So I'm not exactly sure how they're getting the word out there. We do know that as they go forward receiving SFAB funding, our logo will be on everything, and they will have to sit down with an SFAB representative come next year as they go through their advertising and that kind of thing. So we can work with them in making sure that that is getting out to campus more, and that they're representing all the schools and not maybe just the target market that they currently have. Yes.
I'd just like to add a couple of things about it. They advertise through, they had a case, the cases that they have in Stewart Hall in the hallways. They were advertising in that. and they have printed out a lot of posters and put them up, on the different bulletin boards around campus. I've seen those. And the techniques that they're doing are just like mindfulness type of things, like meditation and yoga and things like that, and teaching people how to manage stress through, those kinds of techniques, as opposed to, things that might be more harmful or whatever.
All right. Any other questions? All right, perfect.
We will now move into cabinet reports. President Dinger is not feeling well, so I will report for her. She and I met with President Daniels last Monday. We talked about a variety of different things, from smoking to a diversity core. If you want to talk more about that, let us know after the meeting, or let us know sometime throughout the week or whenever. From my end, student trustee search is still going on. Applications have been turned in. The committee is reviewing them, and we'll figure stuff out, and I'll let you know whenever I know. So I will move on to Chief of Staff Spencer.
Board of Directors is moving along. We've got some pretty cool events coming up here in the last couple of months of our administration. Specifically here in the near future, Purdue Day at the State House is next Monday. And we are sending a decent amount of our members and some other organizations around campus that Hannah can talk about when it gets to her. Other committees on BOD are working on some pretty cool events, hopefully to engage different aspects of campus that we have yet had to thus far in the year. So if you're interested in that, please let me know.
Treasurer Ternetti, I know you have some slides too.
Yep. Yeah, so first a quick budget update. We're up to $33,097 that we've spent so far. But I wanted to walk you guys through some of the historical trend data of our finances that my hardworking FDs helped me put together. What you're looking at here is just a general account spending in our main PSG general operations account by year and by category. These categories are a little wonky because when you go through the COOL system or any university pay system, there are a plethora of expense categories. These are just more generalized versions of those. If you want a more detailed breakdown, I'm sure that'll be coming out later. But general trends, we spent the most amount in recent history in 2009. We spent the least in 2008, and then also a much smaller amount in 2010 as well. We've reduced the amount that we've spent on equipment in the last few years. We've reduced the amount that we've spent on food and drink, which was surprising because you guys know how much I love to talk about how much we spend on pizza. But that's generally just a snapshot. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide and look. This is just a representation of that trend year over year. Kind of interesting to see where we are as far as the general account. And again, we have other funds that go out for things like scholarships, our internal affairs, our social events. That comes out of a different account, but that spending is sort of dwarfed in comparison. So let's go ahead and go to just a representation that I have for you guys. If these are amount of transactions each fiscal year, 2009 through 2016. This gives a sense of maybe not so much how much we're spending, but with what frequency we're spending. And as you can see, fiscal year 2015 was the highest in recent history. So this is just a snapshot of what our sort of PSG fiscal health looks like. There will be more detailed analyses at future Senate meetings. I want to sort of break it up over this, the rest of the semester, so I don't spend like 20 minutes one night just talking about fun charts and graphs. But to start off, this is what it looks like. If you guys have any information that you'd specifically like to know in one of my upcoming reports, definitely let me know. Because the whole reason I'm doing this is to give you all and to give everyone in our organization the opportunity to look at where our money's going, with what frequency it's going there, and maybe that'll help us determine some of our future spending decisions into the rest of this year and into years upcoming for those of you that'll be sticking around. So that's all for me for now.
Senior Policy Advisor Boyd.
So I've been working on the PSG Teaching Excellence Award. Looks like the nomination portal will be opened up around beginning of March, and then should be open all of March. And then a board that I've selected from about 7 different colleges on campus will be reviewing all the nominations and then selecting a winner that'll be announced later in April. That's about it for now. Thank you.
Chief Justice Hassanen.
Thank you. Just a few things from court's end. We were still reviewing a bit of applications for clerks, and we just got done interviewing a couple last night. It looks good so far. Traffic court in general has been pretty slow through this semester. There hasn't been too many cases. So for those of you, which is everybody who hasn't yet attended a semester's court meeting, probably a good time to get that in soon because there's not too many cases. Y'all can get out pretty quick. Also on our end, looking at SLS, they've been getting a lot of workload, which is actually pretty exciting because it means that Leslie has like a lot of things to work on and a lot of interesting cases, and just it's good to see an increased volume and a lot of references back to SLS. And we're also going to have signups for court, so we don't have an overcrowding system like we did last semester. And we'll have signups at the end of Senate and BOD meetings, so we can sort of regulate how many people attend a specific meeting. And you can come find me afterwards to sign up for that.
Secretary Romery.
So last night, Senators Shaw and Eschker and I were able to attend the Purdue Dining and Catering Student Advisory Committee. And last night was a little bit different in that they had the consulting company who's putting together the master plan for all of Purdue University for the next 10 years, I believe, there to get feedback. And so this plan isn't just about dining, but dining is a component of that. And so that's what our discussions were about. It was a good conversation. I think the others can agree. So I'm anxious to see what that looks like. Other things, just continuing to oversee the AD projects and got the minutes out and everything. So that's about it for me.
We will now move into committee reports, starting with internal affairs.
Okay, so we decided on a date for our Senate social, which will be the Friday after spring break, which is March 24th, and it'll be a movie night, there'll be food, and I'll send out a poll later with so you guys can help decide what movie we watch.
Financial affairs.
So next week we will have 4 JNETs come to committee, and I will be asking for volunteers to be the PSG representative of those JNETs tomorrow morning, so please volunteer. I would rather I don't be a representative of all 4 of those, like I pretty much was on the past 3, so thank you.
Are there any university and academic affairs reports? Are there any campus and student resource affairs reports? Are there any board of directors committee reports? Hannah?
Okay, just like Donnie said, on Monday we have Purdue Day at the State House. So we're busing down around 50 students to meet with legislators. We have PSG meetings set up, and then we're announcing our presence. So we have groups, several environmental groups, Purdue College Republicans, College Democrats, who will all be there hoping to talk to legislators. So I'm excited.
Any other BOD committee reports? We will move into advisor reports.
I have none tonight.
Sweet. We will move into informal discussion, which consists of swearing in of senators designate. So Senator designate Murphy and Senator designate Chow, if you would like to join Chief Justice Hassanen at the front to be sworn in.
If you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. On this 22nd day of February 2017. Swear to abide by and uphold. The bylaws and Constitution. Of the Purdue Student Government. I swear to conduct. All legislative business. With complete honesty. And with the best interest of Purdue University. As my main objective. I, Adam Hosting, as the Chief Spokesperson of the Purdue branch of Student Supreme Court, now declare you all senators. Thank you.
Is there any other informal discussion? Seeing none, we'll move into old business. Is there any old business? Senator Eschker.
Yeah, I move to bring up Bill 1645 and have the PSU bylaws codify social media practices.
It's been properly moved and seconded to bring up Bill 1645, amendment to the PSG bylaws to codify social media practices. This bill is amendable, debatable, and requires a 2/3 vote, and I believe this is its second reading. Correct me if I'm wrong. Senator Eschker, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. So actually, I don't really have much. If anyone has any questions, they can ask me. We discussed it last time, so.
Any discussion? Seeing none, we will move to a vote on Bill 1645. All those in favor, please raise your name placards. All opposed, same sign. Abstentions. Bill 1645 passes. Is there any other old business? Senator Turek. It's been properly moved and seconded to bring up Bill 1648, direct questioning on the Senate floor. This bill is amendable, debatable, and requires a majority vote. This is its second reading. Senator Eschker, do you have any discussion?
We also discussed this last time. The amendments that were made to clarify the bill, they still hold. I just updated the document to reflect those amendments because the original all legislations filed did not have those amendments in it, but the one for amendments now does. Yeah, that's.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote on Bill 1648. All those in favor, please raise your name placards. All opposed, same sign. Abstentions. 1648 passes. We will now move into new business. Is there any new business? Senator Turek.
1658.
It's been properly moved and seconded to bring up Bill 1658, election rules changes. This bill is amendable, debatable, and requires a majority vote. Neither of the authors are here. Is there any discussion? Senator Reyes.
I would like to give 2 minutes of my time to Chief Justice Hassanein.
2 minutes.
Thank you. So as a spokesman for court, I just have a kind of a brief thing that I want to bring up. So these election rule changes are results of flaws that we've seen through various grievances that we've had in past semesters. And these rules exist to make sure and to maintain the order, to have more of an equitable and fair environment that we have in PSG elections as a whole. So it's imperative to pass these sort of restrictions if PSG is going to be a body for the students and one that actually represents its students. So in some cases, we see issues that come before the court and the elections committee that are seen as potential detriments to this integrity of this PSG electoral system that haven't yet been taken advantage of. It could be agreed that these are the issues that are most pressing to PSG and to our electoral system as a whole. That is the case with some of the rules that are coming before us tonight. And as all of you as senators are here just to try to best represent your constituents, and I'd even guess that most of the majority of you are planning to run either for re-election or maybe even trying your hand at president or another office. In those elections, the goal is not to try to exploit the loopholes within the election rules to gain advantages and to win the seat, but it's about creating the best platform to help the student body as a whole. And that's what these elections rules are meant to try to stabilize. And it's with that in mind that I urge you all to accept these changes with the election rules. The big picture of these election rules would, and how they're going to solve these problems outweigh any issues of semantics or unrealistic hypotheticals that an individual could think of that could potentially happen as a result of the passage. And I encourage you all to look at the big picture impacts. And I also ask that all those who are potentially running for a higher office, like president, to abstain from voting on this legislation because of the potential conflict of interest, and it would be unethical to vote against some interest or bill like this that could be in your own self-interest. And I'm also optimistic about this passing because I opened myself up for a lot of questions, and I talked to Sam about this, or Pro Tem Friedland about this in the past, and he also made it clear that I was going to be available after cabinet to talk about any potential issues that anybody had with the bill, and no one came and contacted me, so it seemed like, I'm assuming it's all clear. I was also available through Slack, or you all have my number or anything like that. So I'm really hopeful that this is going to pass, but I just really want to stress its importance.
Are you done, Senator Reyes? Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote on Bill 1658, Elections Rules Changes. All those in favor, please raise your name placards. All opposed, same sign. Abstentions? By a vote of 25-02, Bill 1658 passes. Is there any other new business? Senator Turek.
I move to bring up Bill 1659.
It's been properly moved and seconded to bring up Bill 1659, proposal of the student activity fee for 2017-2018. This bill is amendable, debatable, and requires a majority vote. Ms. Sego, as primary author, would you like to speak? Senator Friedland is not here. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will move to a vote on Bill 1659. All those in favor, please raise your name placards. All opposed, same sign. Abstentions. (2403) Bill 1659 passes. Is there any other new business? Senator Daley.
I move to bring up Bill 1660.
It's been properly moved and seconded to bring up Bill 1660, approval of cabinet spending for International Women's Day. This bill is amendable, debatable, and requires a majority vote. President Dinger is not here. Is there any discussion? Senator Esker.
Is there anyone that knows what exactly we're giving the $5,000 toward in the event? Is it toward speaker fees? Is it toward other things that are happening? And also, did they reach out to us to ask for $5,000, or was it just a decision for us to just give $5,000? Anyone that could clarify those points, I'll do a direct question at them.
Daniel, or Senator Secretary Romery is pulling up cabinet minutes. That was a minute ago. From what I remember, it was speaker fees.
Yeah, it was definitely for speaker fees. I'm trying to figure out exactly how we came up with the amount, but I believe the speaker fees were somewhere around $13,000. So we are only covering a small portion of that, and I know that President Dinger and the executive director, yes, of the LGBTQ Center had a discussion about this, and that's how this came about. And I believe there were other organizations sponsoring this as well. And as I recall, this was a unanimous supported decision by Cabinet, but we just needed the Senate's approval for the funding.
Senator Putt.
Also, they did inquire about potentially getting a JNet, but because they were not a student organization, we couldn't fund them that way. That is why they went through Cabinet.
Senator Esker.
So who exactly are we funding? It's the Division of Diversity. Never mind. Answer my own question.
Senator Daley.
I'd like to yield 3 minutes of my time to.
In collaboration with us giving this money to the LGBTQ Center and the Division of Diversity, we're also, BOD DNI is hosting an event that day. So not only are we contributing financially, but we're also contributing with like our own event to help out in any way we can.
Any other discussion? Senator Esker.
How much would be left in President discretionary or Cabinet discretionary after giving these funds? It's a direct question to Treasurer Turner.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. Peter, you want to go ahead and? Sweet. Thank you for your teamwork.
I believe it was $3,000, but that is absolutely me straight wrong.
Yeah, so as it stands now before this allocation, there is $8,789,000.86 remaining in Cabinet discretionary, after which there will...
Can you rephrase? You said $875,000. If we have that much money, you've been holding out on us.
Sometimes reading is hard. My apologies. $8,789.86 are currently remaining in Cabinet discretionary. Not a penny more. After this potential $5,000 allocation, we will be left with $3,789.86.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, we will move to a vote on Bill 1660. All those in favor, please raise your name placards. No, 1660. We renamed it. I know, confusing. All opposed, same sign. Abstentions?
2601.
2601, 1660 passes. Any other new business? Senator McAnulty.
I move to bring up Resolution 1617.
It's been properly moved and seconded to bring up Resolution 1617, support for State House of Representatives Bill number 1111. This resolution is amendable, debatable, and requires a majority vote. Executive Director Calvert, as primary author, would you like to start?
Okay, so this is a piece of legislation that we could potentially lobby for on Day at the State House on Monday. So right now Purdue estimates that students will spend $1,220 on textbooks per year. And so the amount of sales tax would be $85.40, if that number is correct. And then the Indiana Office of Fiscal Management Analysis predicts that if all of the money on textbooks predicted was spent in Indiana, like through Indiana stores, that the sales tax exemption would cost Indiana. Low estimate is $19 million. High estimate is $30 million. And that's based on the total undergraduate and graduate enrollment at Indiana colleges, multiplied with the numbers mentioned above in regards to textbook costs, relying on every student purchasing their textbooks through stores in the state of Indiana, which obviously excludes like Amazon, which a lot of students purchase from. So the cost of the exemption as a percentage of total sales tax revenue, the low estimate would be 0.26%, and the high estimate would be 0.41%. So in order to get the sales tax exemption, it would have to be at an Indiana store. You'd have to show a valid, unexpired university ID, and prove that the book is needed for a class, like with a syllabus.
Any discussion? Seeing none, we will move to a vote on Resolution 1617. All those in favor, please raise your name placards. All opposed, same sign. Abstentions? By a unanimous vote, Resolution 1617 passes. We are out of new business. We will move into announcements. Are there any announcements? Secretary Romery.
As I mentioned last week, so Purdue Pay It Forward is an initiative that Purdue Foundation Student Board is hosting today, tomorrow, and Friday. And so we're encouraging students to pay it forward, whether that's with money or with your time or your talent, to anything at Purdue. So we're trying to get 1,000 students to donate to Purdue. It can be $1 each. But you can donate to PSG or anything you want. And we're just trying to encourage students to participate in philanthropy, as this is National Philanthropy Month. So we'll have tables on campus tomorrow and Friday, or you can go to purdue.edu/payitforward, I believe, or something like that. You can Google.
Senator Fernando.
Next Wednesday, Purdue Science Student Council is going to be having a undergraduate research event in Matthews 210 at 7 p.m. So if you want to find out more about undergraduate research, come on down. We're going to have free cheesy bread too, so it's going to be good.
I have an announcement. I forgot about it until you said Science Student Council. But I have called for a meeting of all of the Student Council presidents on February 28th, so next Tuesday. So I'll be meeting with them to talk about, really I want people to, not nominate, but encourage others to run for election, as well as when we're filling seats, trying to at least have a stream of communication, because let me tell you, it's not the easiest job in the world. So that will be happening on Tuesday. I see Heather's hand, and then Hannah.
On that, election call-outs will be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week, and they're at various locations around campus. So just be on the lookout for those. If you have anybody that's inquired about how to be a senator, or if they're interested in running for president or vice president. Thanks.
Hannah.
The Purdue Women in Leadership Institute is a week from this Saturday. Anyone can come. You don't have to identify as a woman. You can be a guy and come. But There are 2 tracks. So one is called Elector, and it's all about getting women into like student government and public office. And then there's like a general track, and there's really awesome keynotes. And I posted about it in Slack. But it's $10 to register. But then if we're tabling, you can register for free. So you all should come. It'll be cool. And if you have any more questions, ask.
Senator Shaw.
So this is more of a reminder than an announcement, but correct me if I'm wrong, Vice President. Every senator, or all the senators of each college have $100 to spend for a tabling event or outreach event or anything. No, it's not a thing anymore.
Each committee has 100, each college has 100.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Other announcements? Treasurer Ternetti.
Yeah, so I'm not reading off of anything. We should be good to go here. Campus Improvement Project is live. It's happening. What we're doing is we are awarding $2,000 to one or more projects that RSOs bring to us on Saturday, March 25th. That's happening in CROC 270. If any of you are members of organizations or know of organizations that have some initiative that they are wanting to get off the ground to make Purdue a better place, we're leaving it pretty intentionally vague. The idea is they come and pitch their idea to us. We award them some amount of funding to start launching their initiative and hopefully form a long-term partnership with PSG. And this is another way to get our organization out in the community, but also to fulfill our core mission of making Purdue a better place for those who come after us. So if any of you have any questions about that, I'd love to answer it. If any of you have any orgs that might be interested, definitely let me know. We're going to start advertising for that in the next couple of weeks, but would love to have all of you there the day that it happens. We're putting together the review committee now. If you'd like to be on that, let me know.
Secretary Romer.
One other thing, I wanted to thank SFAB for their work as well, because I know they put a lot of time into it, and that's stuff that Senate then doesn't have to do. And this is the first time in my time here and possibly in SFAB's existence that it has passed on the first reading. So thank you guys for doing such a good job following the guidelines and getting that through.
Senator Shaw.
I'm sorry, I'm going to try one more time. Does each college have $100 to spend?
Yes.
Okay,
Each
there we go.
college has $100
Okay, so my
to
announcement
spend.
is don't forget to utilize that money, senators. That'd be a great way to reach out to constituents. $100.
I know Senator Lopez is the College of Education Ambassador of the Week, and she asked for us to take a picture. So before we leave, I think she would like for that to happen. Heather has one more announcement, but she's probably lying.
One more little thing, I promise this will be it. CROC 270, just so you guys know, your office space is like the computers and then the 2 offices. The conference room is yours until 9 o'clock at night to use for PSG business, and then it goes into the CROC, basically if students want to study or anything. If there are students in there and you have a meeting that is pertaining to PSG, feel free to ask them to leave that space because it is yours during that time frame. The other thing I wanted to remind you is that a lot of people are assuming 270 is just open, but that is booked space. That is not that's an open area within the facility, a public space. It's not PSG's, and so sometimes when you guys are doing things in 270, or you'll send out a note saying, "Oh, this is in 270," but we have 3 other meetings already scheduled. We're having some scheduling conflicts. We had to move a whole bunch of stuff around the other day for something. So please make sure that you're booking the larger where all the open tables are at. If you're using that for an event or anything, that you've booked it with the front desk or through our reservation form. Thanks.
Seeing no other announcements, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Senator Daly.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Been properly moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. I need to remember this, but it requires a majority vote. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, please raise your name placards. All opposed, same sign. Abstentions. Meeting adjourned.